Let me tell you about ProHealthConnect.com. It's transforming healthcare payments, providing retailers a seamless process for over-the-counter and healthy benefit programs. By connecting retailers, health plans, and payment processors, ProHealth Connect creates one powerful, unified network. They empower independent grocers and pharmacies to accept health benefit cards without changing how they do business. With over 10,000 locations nationwide, helping more than 1.3 million people access the care and nutrition they need. Go to ProHealthConnect.com.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome, my friends, to your Saturday morning extravaganza. The Saturday morning vibe. I am Bo Snerdley. I'm James Golden. One in the same. And hoping to hear from you on today's program at 800-848-9222. That's how you reach us, 800-848-9222. We have, my friend, so much to discuss. It has been a week. This may be one of the most monumental weeks when it comes to elections that we have seen literally in decades, without exaggeration. The Supreme Court, of course, weighed in, as expected they would, on the case that they heard earlier this year regarding the Voting Rights Act of 1964. And as a consequence of their decision, many Democrat seats may be up for grabs. As many as 19. It will not all roll out this year, but certainly by 2028, the impact will be felt. Also this week, when it comes to elections, Florida, the state of Florida, has redistricted themselves. They've used redistricting, and the governor of the state, Ron DeSantis, signed a bill. So it appears that in Florida, the number of seats that Republicans hold will increase. Some Democrats are well-known Democrats, for instance, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, will now find herself redistricted and possibly out of a seat. This is in response to the back and forth over gerrymandering that in this before the before the census and before the midterm elections this year. Virginia, of course, redistricted, and Democrats were exuberant when that happened, wiping out almost every Republican seat in the state of Virginia. And now in Florida, where they have, within weeks of that happening, redistricted, all that jubilation is gone from Democrats. It has been contentious. The Supreme Court decision, my friends, has sparked outrage online. I looked at the usual mainstream media news sources that I study every single day, almost every single day. And today you don't see it. You don't see much of it on the front, on the splash pages. You see some stories related to it, but you don't see a lot of it. If you are on social media, you cannot avoid it. The discussions are everywhere. Every congressperson, it seems, especially Democrats, are taking to social media. Kamala Harris released a statement last night. Others have, they're just bemoaning it, especially Democrats. And they are up in arms. Regular people, they are the usual vitriol toward Justice Clarence Thomas is on full display. The usual, from people that actually don't, I'm going to try to be kind here. I believe they're looking at the headlines and they don't understand, many of them, the deeper ramifications or the history or the legal arguments. And so they are lashing out. In fact, I saw one word criticism from a schoolmate of mine I went to high school with, and it was just one word: betrayal. And it is not a betrayal. It is actually quite the opposite. It is an affirmation of what the Constitution, the 14th to 15th Amendments, are supposed to do. So we've got all of that. We have other things to discuss. Adam sent me a story. Our caller Adam sent me a story this week it was on my periphery. I had heard of it. I've heard the story, but I didn't, to be honest with you, read it thoroughly or pay attention to it thoroughly. So Adam, if you're out there and you want to give us a call, we will discuss that story. It's an incident that happened in New York involving law enforcement and an innocent man. There are other things in the news. Iran, of course, in the news. The War Powers Act. I have a headline here from The Hill, the memo section of The Hill this morning. Trump's frustration on Iran boils over in attacks against the media. Well, the media has done nothing. The mainstream press, with few exceptions, have done nothing but what they usually do, take an anti-Trump stance from this issue of Iran since the beginning. Now, the president spoke yesterday at the Villages in Florida, and wow, it was one of his speeches. Talked about a lot of things. The recent attempt on his life. Spent some time talking about Ilhan Omar. Byron Donalds also spoke there, and we'll have some of Byron Donalds' speech as well. I thought it was pretty good. It was excellent, actually. But we will focus a lot on the election news that came about as the decisions in Florida and the Supreme Court are some of the biggest stories. And again, these are going to have dramatic impacts. What we saw this week could represent, and I cannot wait to catch up with Princess Diana on today's program and really hear her point of view on this and whatever else she wants to talk about. But this could be the moment, my friends, that this week that the Democrat Party, as it is currently constituted, falls. Because they will lose if this Supreme Court ruling results in the number of seats that analysts are thinking could be at risk for Democrats. They could lose up to 19 seats that have been racially gerrymandered on the basis of race. And a 19-seat disadvantage for Democrats would put them at risk, not just in the House of Representatives, but also electoral power when it comes to the number of electorates needed to gain the White House. This is huge. And when you add to it what has happened in the redistricting effort so far, if this case in Virginia is tossed out, if this election that they have is tossed out because it was conducted unlawfully, and that is what is being argued. That election still has not been certified. Voters went to the poll in Virginia and they decided, let's get rid of these Republican seats. But if, and the Virginia Supreme Court is looking at it now, if the Virginia Supreme Court says this does not fly, then they are going to be even further behind. Already, by the way, the states of Alabama and Tennessee are looking to bring their legislatures back so that they can redraw seats on the basis of the Supreme Court ruling. In Louisiana, they were supposed to have an election. It is now on hold. Primary. It's on hold because one of the districts up is no longer legal. And those maps are going to have to be rewritten. This is monumental, folks. So before we head off to our first break, let me just also mention to you, if you happen to be traveling and your airline, the airline you were using was Spirit Airline, you'd better check. Because Spirit Airline overnight canceled all flights effective immediately. Spirit Airlines has told passengers do not go to the airports. What was that? Oh, okay, good. Yes, thank you. We're just a little in-house business here, folks. Spirit Airlines has, as I said, canceled all flights effective immediately. They told passengers don't go to the airports. This happened in the overnight hours at 2 a.m. on the homepage where customers could previously make reservations for flights. It's a bright yellow banner that says Spirit is winding down all operations. So, the pressures of oil prices and, of course, competitive pressure in the airline business. Airline travel is it's a tough industry to make profit. It is an expensive industry. It is a tough industry. Spirit tried. They're done, apparently. So if you had a Spirit flight, look somewhere else and start immediately looking somewhere else.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
People are calling in to talk about this redistricting situation. Let me just find a few things. I'm a little confused as to what. Let's try, see cut 13 and see whether that's what I think it is with Cory Booker. Senator Drama, Mr. Drama, speaking about the court decision.
This is not about left or right. It's not about Democrat or Republican. It's about fair elections in America. It goes to the very core of who we are as a democracy. This is a moral moment. What kind of nation will we be? What Donald Trump has done is saying that we should be a nation where a political party, once they have power, can actually do creatively suppressing equal rights at the ballot box and holding on to that power in anti-democratic means. And so we have a clear difference now. We have Democrats who voted unanimously back in 2021, 2022 to end partisan gerrymandering. We have a Republican Party that voted to continue what we're doing now. And Donald Trump, as an accelerant, did midterm redistricting. And so this election now, the stakes have just risen. They really have. This is no longer about which party is going to control. This is now a movement election. Will a movement join together again to say enough of this partisan gerrymandering? We need to elect Congress who will vote that legislation and put it on the desk of a president, God willing, in 28 after those elections.
Yeah. Okay, this is a movement election. Enough of the gerrymandering. You know, it's amazing to me, folks. Look, I am, just for the record, I'm opposed to gerrymandering. I think, but as I've been saying all week, gerrymandering is the coin of the realm. This is how American elections have been going on for centuries. Do I think gerrymandering is unfair? Heck yeah. In all its forms. If I had, you know who agrees with me? Can you, Matt, find that, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez cut and play it. Yeah, because it's amazing to me, when I heard her, I thought that, you know what, this is, that's the 24-second cut. This is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez speaking about gerrymandering.
We have to all abide by the same rules. And so if Republicans are going to redraw North Carolina, if they're going to redraw Texas, if they're going to redraw and gerrymander every one of their states, then unfortunately we have to provide balance to that until we get to the day where we can all finally agree to put this behind us and pass nonpartisan gerrymandering federally.
Now, there's something I agree with her with this. I can't believe yes. Until we get to the day when we can put this partisan gerrymandering aside and come up with a solution to draw districts on the basis of what they are supposed to be drawn on. Geography, population. It's really simple. Population and geography. And we have the technology to do that. I don't have any idea, if it were done, what the makeup of the House would look like. But I would prefer that over what we have right now. That said, Republicans did not start this, and I even hate saying it. We didn't start it, you started it. We'll be back, folks.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, Snerdley with you here. After the big May Day communist rallies that were held in many blue cities yesterday, 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. We had played, you heard from Cory Booker, you heard from AOC, and let me again state this. I believe we have I know we have the technology. We have AI right now. Look, AI could probably do this in a matter of minutes if you input the right information, which would take a lot longer, the populations of every one of the states and where people are located in those states and population, and the number of districts that each state would be apportioned to based on their population. And now you give it hey, make these equal districts in terms of, or as equal as possible, based on whatever, a grid pattern or however you want to do it. And you could get a technological solution to how the districts should be drawn so that they are most fair, quote unquote, most similar. Who knows what the makeup of Congress would look like? I certainly don't know. But it would take the partisanship out of it. You have states, especially in the Northeast, where Republicans might be as high as 40-50%, and they have zero representation in Congress. You have states like California that are unfairly impacted by the number of illegal immigrants. And that, again, and I've been stressing this, and I'll keep stressing it over and over, that is why Democrats brought in 11 million illegal immigrants. That is also why we have 20 million illegal immigrants already here, and Democrats don't want any action because those 30 million people mean more House seats, because the House is based on population. Doesn't matter, according to the courts, whether you're here legally or not, you have to be counted. Those numbers are used for to determine the number of House seats that are apportioned. Then you have the carve-outs. The voting rights Section 2 carve-outs. The way it was being implemented was, we're going to make a carve-out to make sure that quote-unquote minority votes are not diluted. It was a protection. Was it necessary? Yeah. Was it constitutional? The court said it was, and they're still saying it is, but with a caveat, but not to the extent that was being used, where race becomes the sole or mitigating criteria. Now, I don't know how you parse it as to how much race is too much race. But our Constitution says, essentially, and I'm using not the legal wording of the Constitution, but our Constitution, 14th, 15th Amendment, guarantee equal protections for everybody. Pretty much, you don't discriminate. Pretty much, this is exactly what the civil rights movement was all about. Treat everybody equally. Why was the Voting Rights Act necessary? Because Democrats set up Jim Crow and used the Jim Crow system to keep black people from voting. So the Civil Rights Act, this is the shorthand version, and the Voting Rights Act was a response to the Democrat Party's discrimination against black people. It has expanded. That formula has been used to carve out Hispanic districts. So you had a situation that evolved where race was used, or ethnicity, to decide districts, and those are protected districts. And that does something else, by the way. It prevents competition. And why is that important? Because it gives you an echo chamber. Let me try to explain what I mean by that. Now, I'm going to grab some calls. I contend, ladies and gentlemen, that the issue with some of these seats isn't race. There are people that are saying, well, and I played a clip yesterday from the Louisiana congressman who's going to be wiped out of his seat with the ruling by the Supreme. And he's saying, well, white people don't vote for black candidates. And that's simply not true. In fact, to demonstrate it's not true, let's play cut 18 from a black congressman. His name is Wesley Hunt. He is in Texas. 18, this is Congressman Wesley Hunt.
There's been a lot of talk how there won't be any black Republican members in the new term. Yeah. What do you make of that?
Nothing. I don't understand how that's relevant.
Is there a problem with recruitment? Or
I don't think it's a problem with anything. I'm not here because I'm black. I am here because I'm qualified representative for Congressional District 38, and the American people choose who they want to choose. Yeah. And the one thing I don't want to get into is this game of race bait all day, every day. If there's 4, if there's 10, if there's none, what we are talking about is who is the best person that is best qualified to fill a seat regardless of the way that they look. And I tell people this all the time till I'm blue in the face. I represent a white majority district that President Trump would have won by over 20 points, and I won by 25 points the last time I ran. I'm being judged not by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. I don't care how many black people are here. I want the most qualified people that are here.
And
thank you.
Oh, got it. Thank you, Harrison.
See, that's the point. And this is what I mean by limiting competition. So you have these black districts that are carved out because they're black. And what you have these Congress people saying is, well, we couldn't win unless we were in a black-only district. And that's just simply not true. Well, white people won't vote for us. They're racist. Well, that's also a huge assumption. How about they won't vote for you because you're liberal? How about that as the alternative explanation? How about that white people in some of these districts, or people, not just white people, don't want liberals representing them? They don't follow the liberal ideology. And if there is a black person that represents their ideology, like Wesley Hunt, they'll vote for him. If there is a Hispanic person that represents their ideology, they will vote for him or her. But if there is a person, regardless of what color they are, that does not represent their ideological values, they're not going to vote for them. And that is detrimental to the notion that these black-only districts should just exist without facing competition. What does competition do? When you have to compete for votes, it affects the way that a party operates. Give you an example, a theoretical example. We talk about this all the time, people that follow politics, how some politicians will wet their fingers, stick it up in the air and see which way the wind is blowing, and then start acting as if they agree with whatever they think the voters want. Now, they may be disingenuous, but this is exactly what politics is about. Trying to match a candidate with what the people's expectations are of a candidate. So if over a long period of time, a party finds that they are on the outs with the will of the people, what do? They change, or they endure losing continually. They find candidates that will appeal to the voters. When you are insulated in an echo chamber, we have an all-black liberal Democrat district, and we don't have to change, we don't have to compete. What it does is it doesn't allow for growth. It doesn't allow. And that is one of the reasons why Democrats are so out of touch with the American electorate outside of the cities, because they haven't had to compete. So what they do, they can be as far left as they want to be, because a lot of these people have been insulated because of this racial gerrymandering and because of other gerrymandering. They insulate themselves and they don't have to compete in the broader world of politics. It is detrimental. And by the way, this just doesn't apply to Democrats, it applies to Republicans too. When you insulate yourself from having to listen, observe, respond to the will of the people, you are setting yourself up for failure. And this is a long overdue realignment that is getting ready to take place as the Supreme Court finally weighed in on what has been an unfair, unconstitutional method of selecting representatives. So, now, Democrats are fighting back, and they intend to fight back. Before we head off to a break, I want to just play one more, and then we're going to grab some calls. Promise. People have been waiting. Julia Stratton, cut 11, is lieutenant governor out there in Illinois. I believe she's lieutenant governor. She's running for Senate, but she weighed in too. The interview that she did was on WGN out in Chicago. This is Julia Stratton.
The Supreme Court should really be a check, and we're not seeing a Supreme Court that is a check. Certainly not to this president. In fact, we have a Supreme Court that is rubber stamping this president's authoritarian agenda. So what we need to be doing is, I want to go to Washington to be a check on this president. When the Democrats take back the Senate, I want to see us abolish the filibuster so that we can get the John Lewis Voting Rights Act passed and make sure that we protect voting rights all across the country. So I think all of us are alarmed, we're angry, we're standing up because We know that this president is trying to erode our rights and our democracy, and every single day we're seeing Republicans play a role in that. And we have to stand up right now, because if we give them an inch, they're going to take a mile.
Now, one of the things that she said when she led off her criticism is that the Supreme Court is supposed to be a check on the presidency. No, that is not the role of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court in the check and balances system is supposed to be a check on the legislature and the presidency. And more importantly, the Supreme Court's job is to determine what is constitutional and what is not by way of those checks. And what they're doing their job. It is the idea that they're supposed to be, the Supreme Court is what she's saying. The Supreme Court says supposed to be blocking Trump at every turn. That is not the role of the Supreme Court. The real check in America that is being checked right now is out of control liberalism that has been causing this country to veer from the United States constitutional obligations. And what the Supreme Court is doing is checking the liberal downslide, because finally they have a chance to. They were locked out of checking it while liberals had over a 50-year run on the courts. So this is a pendulum that is now moving in the other direction, and they are checking the outrageous and egregious slide toward socialism and progressivism that previous courts failed to put in check. They are doing what they are supposed to do. They are checking. Problem is, liberal Democrats don't like to be checked, but they're getting checked anyway.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay, give me a name where we're going to the telephone. We had a call in from earlier because I still can't see it. Just tell me where we're going. Let's go to Florida and check in with Roger. Roger, good morning. How are you? Thank you for holding.
Well, thank you, Bo. I've moved from the terrible state of Oregon to the free state of Florida, and I was an elected politician for about 10 years in Oregon. And I'm here to disagree with you about the redistricting and how that actually works. So
okay, go ahead.
What you're missing is that the smallest of the units is called a precinct. And I've been a precinct committee for the Republicans and a precinct committee person for the Ds. Now, that originally was around a courthouse, around a school, where people actually walk to a building to vote. Then you take a bunch of these precincts and you make them into a district. So when you're talking about a computer drawing this, you need to also go back in history to 79, 80 when I was there, and think about how the precincts work. Now, the state is the group of people that actually know more about it, and they've been drawing them since the beginning. So
let me ask you a question, because we only have 2 minutes, and I love your call, but let me just ask you a question. 1 minute. Do you think that the way that the maps are being constructed now across this country are at all fair?
As fair as they can be when a person has to do it.
And that's why a person doesn't need to do it. And that's my point. As long as you have people with vested interests, look, it is the coin of the realm. So I'm all for what's happening now. Okay, this is the battlefield, not some hypothetical, let's make everything fair. I would love to see everything made fair by taking the human element out of it. But that's not possible. So you have to play with what you're given. But in an ideal world, we have technology now that wasn't available back centuries before us. And we can do a much better job of districting than we are doing, which is my point. I love your call, Roger, and hope you love Florida. I'd love to hear from you again. James Golden, Snerdley, keep it right here. Our number duo coming up.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Our number duo begins, my friends. Our number uno in the can. Welcome to the Saturday morning extravaganza. I am Bo Snerdley. James Golden, your host. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. This hour, we're going to spend a little time with some audio cuts and continue our discussion on the phones about this incredible week that we have witnessed. In the next hour, Princess Diana will join us, and we'll stick around, hopefully, grab some calls with Princess Di, you, me, and her take on the week. I cannot wait to hear what she has to say about this week. As I mentioned, President Trump was at the Villages, and so was Byron Donalds, who is running for the governor of, to become the next governor of Florida. Boy, oh boy. Ron DeSantis has been on the roll this week too. Princess Diana's the favorite governor, and also the favorite governor in the country of Lady Benedict. So, let us begin with Byron Donalds this hour in terms of audio. Let's cut 8. This is part of Byron Donalds' speech. He was with the president and was at the Villages in Florida last night. Cut 8,
so let's
Byron
be
Donalds.
clear. When you go to the polls this November, you make sure the Democrats know loud and clear that you never fought for us. You never stood for us. You never protected this nation. You don't stand for our Constitution, and you do not deserve to have any power in Washington or anywhere else in America. You got Hakeem Jeffries coming down here trying to lecture our governor and our members of the legislature. He's talking about how we're gonna F around and find out. Us in Florida. What a fool. There's a reason why he's the minority leader in Washington, D.C., and after this November, when you go to the polls, he will remain the minority leader in Washington, D.C. Because the only thing that the Democrats want to do is impeach Donald Trump. The only thing they want to do is impeach. We got another crazy one. Impeach Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth is doing a great job as the Secretary of... And I do like how the president just said, we're enough with the games. It's the Secretary of War. Because if our adversaries and our enemies think that we are going to hold back on them, they will find out like the Iranians found out. That's F around and find out.
Wow, that's Byron Donalds. Now, where did we even start with the president? Let's see. Since he mentioned the war, let's start with cut 7. Donald Trump explaining what his position is with NATO during his speech.
Got no help, zero from NATO. You know, we spend trillions of dollars on NATO. We got no help. We didn't need it, but we got none. I said, would you like to come? Yeah, you're fired. He said, fire him. No, they know they got problems. No, it was a paper tiger. We got critical race theory out of our schools. He went on to discuss more domestic policy after that, but the announcement has been made that we are withdrawing 5,000 troops from Germany. We have about 38,000 that are stationed there. So there will still be an American presence in Germany, but we're reducing it. President also saying that we're looking at withdrawing American troops from Spain and from Italy because of their refusal to help when the president requested with this effort to finally free the world from Iran's quest to have nuclear weapons and to stop Iran from being the number one source of state-sponsored terrorism in the world. President also addressed domestic issues. He talked about cut two, something that has not gotten a lot of coverage at all, but this concerns medicine. And cut two, this is President Trump at the Villages last night. But this is really something that's special. I'm very proud of it. Today, I'm thrilled to announce that starting on July 1st, we will also provide Medicare patients with the coverage for weight loss drugs like Ozempic, Zepbound, Wegovy. It will be available for $50 a month. $50. Wow. Now think of that, $50 a month. So if it was $1,300, now it's $50. And the $1,300 doesn't cover a whole month. So it's really even more than that. So it's now down to $50. So that's where you get it. And also, and you remember when I cut insulin and I got it down to $25 insulin, it was $2,000. And that was before this. I'm so glad you mentioned insulin. You know, when I got insulin done, it was at the end of my term and I got it done, but it doesn't kick in statutorily for 2 years. And I said, I better win the election. This is going into the second election because what a job I did. And, you know, insulin was at like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. I got it to $25, but it kicked in about a year and a half, 2 years later, statutorily. You had to wait a period of time and all of that nonsense. So I said, boy, I better win because if I don't, some guy is going to take credit for something that I did that they could have never done.
Yeah, and that's what happened too. Biden tried to take credit for it. But the point is that these drugs now, you talk about obesity, which we don't hear of much in the news anymore, but obesity was a big thing. And obesity now, these drugs are going to help combat that. They were so pricey, and so now the price is being reduced to $50 a month for seniors, which should have a dramatic impact. Now, he also talked about taxes cut 4, and this, of course, to a senior audience, you can, I guess, should anticipate what the response would be when he talked about Social Security. Here's the president.
We're here to celebrate a policy that benefits every American senior all across this land, and it's called No Tax on Social Security. It's done. It's done. You know, I took a poll at one of the events. I said no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, or no tax on Social Security. All of them. So let's do it now. Let's do another poll. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax. So what you do is you're going to cheer for the one you like the most out of the three, all right? No tax on tips. No tax on overtime. No tax on Social Security.
Yeah, a big hit there. No surprise. President weighed in, this one. Okay, cut one. Just let it rip. And this is the President of the United States.
But JD's done a great job. Thousands and thousands of people it's a fraud. I mean, look at the wonderful country. It's a beautiful country. You should try it sometime. Somalia. It's a beautiful place. It's got no government. It's got no military. It's got no anything. It's got one thing that's really strong, crime. It's got a lot of crime. They have no police. All they do is run around shooting each other. It's filthy dirty, disgusting dirty. It's a horrible place. They come here, and Ilhan Omar, you ever hear of her? She heads it. And think of it. They have nothing but crime, poverty, pollution. Everything is horrible over there. Nothing good. They say it's the worst country anywhere in the world, that we got some beauties out there, but it's the worst. And then she comes here from Somalia, and she tells us how to run the United States of America. She says, the Constitution gives me certain rights. And I demand that I be given these rights. Get the hell out. What a phony. And then she married a brother to come in. I don't know, you're not. But I would imagine they're looking at her. I have nothing to do with it. I would imagine. Of course I have nothing to do. I have nothing, but I believe she married her brother, which is totally illegal. Although it's a lovely couple, actually, but it's a little bit on the illegal side. Darling, I love you very much. Good night, brother. Let's go to bed. Good night. Isn't she despicable? I can't stand watching her. I can't stand. Did you see last month, she accidentally checked the wrong box. It said she was worth $38 million. And law enforcement came after her for that. And then all of a sudden she was worth less than $80,000. And she said it was accounting. It was an accounting error. That was not a very good accountant, was it? Huh? No. Their whole life is based on fraud and a scam. The whole thing is a scam. And we ought to get those people the hell out of our country.
Well, I'm going to say it one more time. I don't like the broad brush. All Somalians are not scammers. James, what's going? Look, I read the news. I follow the news. And yes, there is a major problem that is happening, especially in Minnesota. And every single person that has committed a crime needs to be, if they are here as an immigrant, every single one that has defrauded the taxpayers of the United States needs to be sent packing. Those that that are found guilty of doing something need to be punished according to our laws and then deported. But it is not the entire population. As to Somalia as a country, haven't been there, but I will say every person in the country of Somalia cannot be a bad person. It cannot be that there is no good there at all. That said, Somalia has a long history that has, going back to the Bush years. You remember Black Hawk Down and all that? The warlords. It is a nation that has just been, like so many other nations, destroyed by the leadership of the country. Destroyed. And they need help. You look at another nation that has been destroyed by the leadership of the country pretty much, all you gotta do is go look south of the border. American border. And there are some things going on there where now the United States is going after some of the drug cartels and some of the government officials in Mexico that have, here's a story out of the, let's see where it is. I think it was in the Times of Washington Post about the Mexican governor accused by America of aiding a drug cartel. His name is Ruben Rocha Moya. He has stepped down. And that's in the Mexican state of Sinaloa. He has stepped down for a moment, claiming his innocence. He says he can look his people and family in the eye because he's not betrayed him But Schonbaum, the president there, has quote-unquote responded warily to the U.S. indictment, refusing to order his arrest, etc. Look, we know that Mexico has major issues with corruption on the drug side. We know that. But those aren't the only issues there. So let's do this. Time to take a quick break. I want to grab some telephone calls, but there are other things I want to discuss too. Birthday today for Joe Callis. You hear him playing synths and keyboards. Also plays guitar with the Human League in 1981-82. This was their huge mega hit. Don't You Want Me? Happy birthday to Joe Callis of the Human League. James Golden, Bo Snerdley, 800-848-9222. Do not, whatever you do, wander off and forget us. We're here for the Saturday morning extravaganza. Your Saturday morning vibe. Yes.
James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to head to the telephones people have been holding. Thank you, Josephine, for waiting. Appreciate you. Good morning. How are you? Josephine calling from New Jersey.
Very good, Bo. You have the most pleasant speaking voice ever, and the music you play is wonderful. And that being said, I want to talk about Rush Limbaugh. He said 5 years ago, he said, I want you to think about if I'm not on the radio anymore. So I stayed up all night. I wrote a composition, and he said, that takes a lot of thinking, young lady. And he sent me a laptop, which I was surprised. So I'm saving my nickels and dimes to get another one. But anyway, it was just wonderful. We listened to him every day, and we listen to you every day, too. So
you're beautiful, and I got to tell you, it must have been 6 years ago because, believe it or not, it has been 5 years since Rush passed.
I know
this year.
I know.
So that had to be 6 years ago that you spoke with him, and he is missed every day. Every single day he is missed. Now, the things that we're going through and experiencing in this country are many of the things he talked about, predicted would happen, have happened, and his advice to this nation. And his also advice to Donald Trump and his analysis of Trump. One of the things that keeps reverberating in my mind is that he talked about the bond that Donald Trump had with his voters, with people that supported him. And he said the only person that can destroy that is Donald Trump. The media can't do it because the media did not create that bond between Donald Trump and the people that support him. And that certainly rings true. But all of these things that we are discussing, including the way that the Democrats have taken this country so far to the left, were discussed for the 30-year period that Rush was on the air. And I'm telling you, he is just missed every single freaking day by so many millions of people.
But when Trump honored him, it was wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was. Josephine, thank you, my darling, for calling. Thank you so much. James Golden, Snerdley, here's what we're going to do, folks. Princess Di is coming up in the next hour. In the meantime, we're going to take more of your calls. There's some other issues that I want to get to. Things that are not in the realm of Democrat-Republican politics included. So we will do that. We've reached out to Adam via email to see whether we can connect with him, because Adam sent me a story this week that I want to talk about as well. So we'll see whether that materializes. James Golden, Snerdley, whatever you do, keep it right here with us. Saturday morning vibe, your Saturday morning extravaganza. Do not go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
People have been waiting. Mary is calling in from Wyoming. Good morning from Wyoming to us around the country. Mary, how are you? Thank you for waiting.
I am fine, and good morning, James, and thank you for taking my call. I'm still wanting to talk about the subject that you were on. I listened to your podcast on Thursday. You did such an excellent job of describing how the immigration impacts on the gerrymandering. I mean, it was the best topic I ever heard on how you explained it. And there was a national expert on named Chris Murray. It was First and 14th Law, and he said that the Dems haven't caught on yet. But the Supreme Court 4 years ago said drawing congressional district lines for legal reasons was constitutional. It was for keeping cities and towns together or communities like blacks. You hit on it. It just can't be for race. That was what they tore down. But communities together was part of it, and it was for to protect incumbents and give advantages to the different parties, the Democrats and Republicans. And they're saying that was constitutional and legal. Now, states that have laws that says no gerrymandering, they can't do it. But, yeah, so there's going to be a firestorm coming up because he says the Democrats do not realize what's coming. So there is going to be such a, like I said, a firestorm coming with all of this trying to do this jerry-rigging.
You are so prescient, Mary, and this is what I was referring to today. You don't see it reflected in the mainstream press today. It's like, okay, that was yesterday's news. They recognize the impact. There's been 3 days of coverage now. But on social media, Democrats are beginning to explode. Their political heads are exploding as they understand the ramifications of this. And of course, they're emphasizing on race. What they're trying to do is stir it up. Oh, here's the return of Jim Crow thanks to this corrupt Supreme Court. They were saying here are the Republicans again attacking us on race, blah, blah, blah. They never mentioned the history and why the Voting Rights Act was necessary in the first place, nor do they mention the constitutional premise of why what they've been doing, the way that they've been using it, is illegal. So it's going to be up to people to explain this and to make it clear, because it's a compelling argument when you just look on the surface. When you say, okay, a third of your population is black in Mississippi, but in Louisiana, but you only have one representative, how is that fair? And the answer, of course, if you just look at it upon those terms, it's not. But those aren't the only ways to look at it. And so it is going to be, this is going to be a contentious fight, but all in all, a major pillar of Democrat Party electoral victories has just been snatched from them, and there's no going back on that. Mary, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Let's go to Connecticut and check in with Jeanette. Jeanette, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well, James. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Just fine, thank you.
I have to say, though, you have a gorgeous voice.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your using it to spread words of wisdom. But there was like two things I wanted to talk about. One thing was that they use these polls and say that Trump isn't doing as well as he was in the past. But that's because the news people are spreading false information about him. So that's the one thing. And the other thing is that when they say that they can't believe when the Democrats are mad about this and that, they want to turn this country into a socialist country. So they're happy when things fail for the way we want it, because they want it to be a socialist country.
Exactly right.
Well, it's unfortunate. I have friends that just listen to the CNN stuff. They have it on 24/7, and they actually get sad and upset about stuff. And I'm like, well, that stuff's not happening. So if that's what you're upset about, you don't have to be, because that's not really what's going on. My words of wisdom is change the channel. And I appreciate what you do, and that you keep, spreading the words of wisdom and using that beautiful voice.
Oh, you are so sweet. Thank you, Jeanette. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for the call. Hope to hear back from you. Let's go to Silas, who's calling in from Staten Island. Silas, you're up next. What's on your mind this morning?
One is about the midterm elections. I've spoken with many people trying to get them to vote for Jack Ciattarelli when that happened, and every one of them said they're voting for Mikey Sherrill. Spanberg knew she was going to win that, and Mrs. Sears is like Einstein compared to her. But the Democrats know they're going to get that vote. They're going to get that black vote, and I don't know how to educate the uninformed and ill-informed. But even when you said, with Adam does listen to this radio station, and you're never going to get him to like Trump, but
I don't have to. Look. Wait a minute. Silas, let me just stop right there. It's not my job to change anybody's mind. It's my job to present a form where if people choose to change their own minds, they can do that. If they don't, they don't. It's not your job to, quote unquote, educate people, because people have their views based on what they believe. What we need to do is just try to be persuasive by explaining what our views are in a way that people can understand them, and also be willing to listen to other people's views and to appreciate the fact that people have a very different philosophies and very different backgrounds that inform their philosophies. And sometimes, you know what, we can learn some things from them too. Like this morning, I played something from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that I happen to agree with. I don't necessarily agree with her conclusion about why the Democrats are doing it. Is they did it, so we do it. Well, we can say that, they did it, so we did it. But what she said about until we get to the point that we can stop the gerrymandering system, we've all got to play on this ballot, is the same thing I've been saying. Disagree with her on most things. Doesn't mean I disagree with her on everything. Doesn't mean I disagree with any, look at anybody that we are all individuals, and we all come to our own conclusions. So this idea that somehow or another, we need to educate those blacks, what we need to do is be persuasive and explain where we are and explain what our positions are and allow people the information to make up their own minds. Because we're not going to change anybody's mind. Just like somebody trying to change your mind on something you think is true is not going to change your mind. You will only persuade them when you give them enough reason to rethink what they already believe. And sometimes, and you have to be open too, if that's the approach, to actually listening to what they say and be willing to try to understand things from their point of view too, even if they're wrong. Silas, thank you for the call. Bob in Florida is up next. Good morning, Bob. How are you?
I am well, thank you, Mr. Snerdley. The thing with Democrats, they're angry about everything that doesn't go their way, but on the redistricting thing, they're angry because Democrat states there's no more room to gerrymander it. And for them, it's only gerrymandering if the Republicans do it. So it's just really crazy. And I know it's time is short. I just like to say that our mentor in heaven, the great one, the real great one, not the other great one, the great one, Rush Limbaugh, he told us that Democrats need to be defeated, at every place and every time. He didn't want to get rid of them completely. He wanted to keep some in museums so we could see.
You have a great memory. That's when he said, we can't defeat all of it. We need some of them as a reminder. But what he was saying was this ideology of the Democrats has to be defeated. And there's no other way about it. And yes, that is correct. Bob, great memory. Thank you for the call. We got to do a quick break, eh? Time for a break there, so let's do that.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, that Adam had sent me a story. I have a CBS version of it, but there's also television coverage of the story that he sent me this week that he wanted me to discuss. Here it is, the story as reported by ABC News 7 in New York City.
Was brutally beaten by NYPD officers in a case of mistaken identity in Brooklyn, is now suing the city for $100 million. It is the latest fallout from the violent arrest earlier this month that was caught on camera. The officers involved are now on modified duty, and the NYPD has disbanded their unit. Eyewitness News reporter Crystal Cranmore is live in Lower Manhattan with the details. Crystal.
Good afternoon, Liz. Well, this is a copy of the notice of claim filed early this morning. With that $100 million, Timothy Brown and his lawyers hoping to send a strong message to the city and the NYPD so that this does not happen to anyone else. Timothy Brown struggled to walk with his arm wrapped in a sling and a cane in his hand. He's still healing from the kicks, blows, and deep cuts he says he suffered after he was dragged through broken glass by the NYPD. The incident captured on an eyewitness's cell phone.
They said, "You're under arrest." And I said, "Why? I haven't done anything." And before I knew it, they grabbed me and started punching me.
Brown is fighting back, initiating a $100 million lawsuit against the city, NYPD, and several members of the department for assault and battery, false arrest, among other complaints.
And I was brutally beaten for no reason, and what happened to me should never happen to anyone else.
Narcotics detectives were after a man wearing a white shirt and green shorts when they went inside this liquor store at Hoyt and Baltic Streets in Brooklyn on April 14th. Brown was wearing green shorts, but he was the wrong guy.
If you look at the disciplinary history of these officers, that should be a red flag.
A review of the Civilian Complaint Review Board database shows 2 detectives in the notice of claim have substantiated complaints against them.
We want to see these bad apples removed from the force.
Brown was initially charged with resisting arrest and obstructing governmental administration, but those charges were later dismissed by the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. The NYPD disbanded the Brooklyn North Narcotics Unit involved in the incident and launched an investigation. The officers in question had their guns and shields removed.
The NYPD, their job is to serve and protect. The only thing that they served was a beatdown.
And Brown says that in addition to the physical trauma, he's still dealing with emotional trauma. We reached out to the city as well as the NYPD. They have declined to comment, but coming up at 6, we'll hear more on some of the changes Brown and his attorneys would like to see within the NYPD. For now, we are live outside. Please have
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that report is the story that Adam sent me. It is a brutal story. I saw the video. It is a brutal beatdown. And I just would urge people, if you're standing there, the guy was opening one of those, grabbing a drink out of one of the displays, the ones with the doors, the glass doors you open up. He opens the door, reaches in, cops all of a sudden just grab him. And what would you do? If someone's grabbing you, your first response is to kind of try to pull yourself away from it. He was innocent. He wasn't involved. and they proceeded to beat his ass. And I mean horribly. And so, is there justification from it? Well, they're going to have their day in court, and that should happen. And if they are found to have violated police standards, then of course they should be removed. Now, we got less than 2 minutes. I got another story I got to play for you. So, cut 21. This happened in Houston, Texas.
Had to wipe his rear
on the grass.
Embarrassed,
humiliated. That's what a 13-year-old boy is feeling right now after he came here to this fuel depot in the Sunnyside neighborhood of Houston after school. He needed to use the restroom. Not just needed, it was an emergency. But the guy working in there allegedly said no. And the kid had no other choice but to come around here and use the bathroom outside. And here's the worst part of this entire story. The clerk working in there recorded it on the security cameras, and then on top of that, made posters, putting them on the front of the store, and then shared the video with this kid's classmates. Yes, disgusting, gross. Those aren't my words. That's Grandma's words. Take a listen.
I feel bad, and to see my grandson sad every day like that, I feel real bad for him. I started crying when I seen that video and looked at him in his eyes.
On Wednesday, community activists Candace Matthews and Quan LX showing up here, effectively pretty much shutting down the store, demanding to speak with the owner of the store. It was about 45 minutes or so that they were here. They want answers. They don't understand why somebody would do this, especially to a young boy.
Appalling, shocking, disgraceful. This man should be indicted.
Yep.
He sexually exploited one of our children, made fun of him, and set the kid up to be exploited. When he told that young boy, you cannot use the restroom. That poor child came into a brand new store with brand new restrooms. He told him you can't use the restroom, then took the recording, told him to go around the back and take a poop, recorded the kid taking the poop. Then when the kids got out of school, from Addicts Middle School right here, he was showing them the video laughing. Then he took a picture, a still picture, and put it on the front door of this baby naked, making fun of his genitalia.
But then another thing that was shown on the video, this child had to wipe his rear
on the grass.
That is inhumane if you ever want to see it.
Now you might be wondering.
All right, now look, folks.
He's exposed.
This happened in Houston. This is one of these huge gas stores. Like, this. I don't even know what to say. Beyond there is some evil in this world that needs to be addressed. We'll be back. Our number duo in the can, our number trio coming up. Princess Di is going to join us. When we come back for our number trio, and I am looking forward to hearing from Princess Di and you. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. Stay with us.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Our number duo has been placed in the can. Our number trio now underway on this, our Saturday morning extravaganza, your Saturday morning vibe. Our number 3 means it's time for a royal visit.
It's time for Radio Royalty with James Golden and America's Princess of Policy, Princess Di.
We don't have to wait for the royals to come in town from across the pond. We have Her Highness here. Most weeks with us. This week she is among the number one royalty of all the world, as she always is. Her goodness, her niceness, her sweetness, her beautifulness, her analysis, which there is no equal. Our very own Highness Princess Diana, did you enjoy the visit from those other royals when they came forth to America this week? There, Your Highness.
Oh, I was too busy with my royal duties. I did not interact with them.
Oh, so you didn't see old King Chuck, huh?
No, I am of a higher royalty
and then near UK.
Indeed. So, Your Highness, what a week. What is your take on the events of this week? What a week this has been.
It's unbelievable, James. You went through some of them, and I think that it is really helpful to kind of look at it as a timeline for what happened this week, because the events run together in everyone's minds, and especially since we are in Trump time, things happen so quickly, and one event surpasses the one from the day before. And so this week, which I am looking at as one of the most brutal weeks for the Democrat Party in our lifetime. And I really want to go through the event to explain why I think that.
Go ahead, please, by all means.
The first day of the week, on Monday, which everyone has sort of forgotten, started off on a map. The Texas map was upheld by the Supreme Court, which was the first state that jumped off with Trump's encouragement. For the midterms, he wanted the states with Republican governors to look at the map and basically give the Republican Party an equal playing field with the Democrats, because they have, as you said, have been doing these gerrymandering districts for decades. And Trump is looking at the midterms, and he basically advocated that Republican governors do this reevaluation, and Texas was the first. And, of course, it ran into a buzzsaw of the Democrat lawfare. And on Monday, the Supreme Court, 6-3, allowed the map to exist. So this map will be the map for the midterms, and according to all analysis I've read, likely 5 additional Republican seats for the House. Now, when you say 5 additional seats, that also means the Democrats lose 5 seats. So it is a swing, potentially, depending on the vote, but a likely swing of 10 seats. It is humongous. And no one really paid much attention to it, because right on the heels of that, on the same day, your favorite governor, Ron DeSantis, proposed in Florida a new map, same day, on Monday of this week, which would likely result in 4 additional Republican seats, which would be a swing of 8. So day one of this week, we have basically a potential 18-seat swing toward the Republican Party, just based on the map reading that is going to be effective likely in the midterms. So that was Monday. Tuesday, we had the James Comey indictment by the federal grand jury, 2 counts in the Eastern District of North Carolina, which is where he made his little shell formation in the beach. He is not facing the usual rigged grand juries in Virginia or D.C. area. This is in North Carolina that handed up 2 indictments, which have the potential of 5 years each in prison. And I have been reporting, which is very interesting, that it looks like he did this 8647 in seashells on Instagram photo in which he said, "Cool shell formation on my beach walk," which everyone understood the signal he was sending. It was on the same day he announced on X his new book coming out. FDR Drive was the title of it. All roads lead to a killer. And that was about to come out 5 days later, May 20th. And so reading the description of this novel, it's a third in the series, involves themes of extremism and a media personality inciting violence through coded language in his novel. So he did this little Instagram post on the same day he posted an advertisement for his book, and that it looks like the reporting is that the proceeds from that book for him are going to be seized because the crime, he cannot profit from proceeds from a crime. And so that would be a wrinkle that hasn't really gotten a whole lot of coverage. So that was Tuesday. On Wednesday, we had the big ruling by the Supreme Court on Louisiana versus Calais, where the Supreme Court, 6-3, as you've been discussing, it bans race-based districts under the Equal Protection Clause, the 14th Amendment. And since you've covered that thoroughly, I'll just keep going on what else happened this week. Also, on Wednesday, the same day, the Virginia Supreme Court allowed the lower federal court to block the certification of the Virginia redistricting that had happened April 21st, the week before, where Democrats were riding high. They were so excited. They had basically blocked out all Republicans in Virginia. Well, it's not being certified. So the current map is in place for the midterms, likely. So that happened Wednesday. Also, on Wednesday, the Florida legislature passed the map, both the House and the Senate in Florida, that DeSantis had proposed 2 days before. That shows how quickly that things can act when people are on board with the Trump agenda. So then on Thursday, it was announced by the Department of Justice that the Department of Justice will enforce the Supreme Court ruling everywhere in America. So this is not just a few districts, although primarily for the midterms, it's going to be southern districts, red state governors who are immediately going into action, some of whom are not. I'm talking about Georgia right now. They're not planning to redistrict or do anything with this ruling. But the Department of Justice is going to look at all of these racially gerrymandered districts all over the country, and they will sue. So this is a huge part. The Supreme Court decision has teeth with the Department of Justice now in going to enforce it. And then another thing that happened on Friday, which got very little coverage, is the Maine race, the Maine Senate race. Janet Mills, who is the current governor of Maine, withdrew from the Democrat primary race for the Senate, leaving a man named Graham Plattner, who is now going to be the Democrat nominee for Senate to be competing with Susan Collins for the Senate race. This is the guy that has a Nazi tattoo that he had covered up just a few months ago. But he had on his chest what's called a Totenkopf tattoo, a dead head, which was a symbol of the SS Guard in Nazi Germany. And this is a guy whose social media history and all of his comments in the past are just horrendous. And this is the guy that the Democrats are running, and now every mainstream Democrat is coming out with full-throated endorsements and defense. And they are running a Nazi, a Nazi by definition that they've been using against us, which has not been true, and they have a literal one. So the whole party now is losing not only its districts, we're talking probably more than 24 seats. It looks more likely that the Republicans, and I would not have said this 2 weeks ago, will hold the House because of these redistricting maps and the court support of it. Plus, they have, as part of their roster of new Democrats, because this guy is a leftist, a real commie, they are running a Nazi. So to me, they have lost all moral high ground. Not that they had it much, but with this new nominee, that this is going to really be, if the Republicans can run that as part of the political argument, which they should. So this week has changed the dynamics in every single way, and they have not figured it all out yet, as you mentioned. The mainstream media hasn't covered it much in this way, but it's starting to dawn on them that this week has been an existential threat to their party's survival. So I just wanted to go through all of the details of what happened this week because it's humongous and wonderful for America.
Now, Matt, cut 20, please. This was just Matt cut 20. This is one of the reports on this candidate, Graham Plattner, that Fox ran this week.
And Democrats are now rushing to support him despite a whole bunch of baggage he's bringing to this race. Look at this. Last year, Plattner had to apologize after it was revealed that he had a Nazi symbol tattooed on his chest. He claimed he didn't know what it was, and then he got it covered up. He's also made controversial posts about women. He said they should take, quote, some responsibility to avoid being raped. He praised a Hamas attack that saw Israeli soldiers get killed. He's also signed on to the All Cops Are Bastards movement, suggesting that people should fight fascism with, quote, a good semi-automatic rifle. Those are his words. And he also called rural Americans, quote, racist and stupid.
There's your Democrat running in Maine. Do you think this guy actually is going to win? I mean, you have Democrats, including, I saw a piece today, I don't have it in front of me. I think Rahm Emanuel criticized Schumer and other Democrats for supporting this guy.
Nope. Rahm Emanuel has endorsed him.
You say what now?
Rahm Emanuel has endorsed him.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. This is
You are kidding me. You are kidding me. Rahm Emanuel has actually endorsed this guy?
Yes. I saw the endorsement myself. So, yes.
What?
Yes, he absolutely did. They are all rushing to endorse him. That's what I'm saying. This is a big story as part of this week's events. It's enormous. And this guy, Graham Plattner, is running as this everyman because he's supposedly an oyster farmer. But he does it as kind of a hobby. He comes from a very elite background, very wealthy family. He went to the most expensive private schools. And so he is not an everyman. He is a commie and a leftist, and he was basically a red diaper baby. So this idea that he is representing, every rural area in Maine is a lie. And of course, his social media is known. He's tried to remake himself. But, Susan Collins is an effective campaigner, and she is going to win. It's going to be close because this is the new Democrat Party.
This is astounding to me. I'm glad you corrected me on that Rahm Emanuel thing because I saw it in passing and I thought the headline to me was just I'm glad you corrected. This is just unbelievable to me that Rahm Emanuel would actually endorse this guy. There goes his presidential chances. Anyway.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Princess, I want to play a soundbite. We'll take some calls. I want you to hear this. I want your response. This was one of my favorite soundbites from the week. EPA head Lee Zeldin with Representative Rosa DeLauro, cut 36, and this is how their exchange went.
When climate change is flooding our streets, poisoning our air, driving up health care and disaster costs, how can the EPA justify abandoning that duty to protect Americans to appease polluters under the false flag of economic growth?
Following the law, Section 202 of the Clean Air Act, where does it say anything about fighting global climate change? Loper-Bright, Supreme Court case, you're familiar with it?
No, I maybe others are not, but let me ask.
But that's really important. As a member of Congress, Loper-Bright says that we as an agency don't have the authority to get creative. If Section 202 of the Clean Air Act...
No, but you don't have, excuse me, you do not have the right to say climate change does not exist, that it's a hoax, and that's where this administration is coming from.
I understand you're upset that you don't know what Loper-Bright is. Do you know what the major policies doctrine is?
I'm upset because...
You know what the major policies doctrine is?
You know what, let me just
You're a member of Congress. You should know.
Well, you have moved from someone who defended the environment to all of a sudden...
I'm very defensive about not knowing the two biggest landmark Supreme Court cases of the last year with regards to your question.
You are very defensive about changing your policy and your positions with regard to the environment.
Okay.
Now, you just tell
Do you want me to tell you what the two biggest Supreme Court cases are of the last few years?
This is what I want you
Michigan
to tell
versus
me.
EPA.
Whoa.
West Virginia versus EPA.
You know, you're here because you need money from us. So halt for the second and wait for the questions and answer the questions.
Well, I answered your question,
No, you
and
didn't.
you didn't like my answer because you
did
don't
not
know what
answer the
Loper Bright is,
question.
because you don't know what the major policies doctrine is,
Chairman.
because you're asking me about
That's
Section
enough.
202 of the
Princess
Clean Air
Diana,
Act.
I love this. What did you make of this?
Well, it was, a slam dunk, and I read a terrible comment, but it made me laugh that she doesn't know those laws because she was too busy chasing Hansel and Gretel.
Oh, my... Friends, on that note, we'll just have to take a minute and recover. President Stein's with us. We're going to take some calls. We also have Rod coming up with his movie review. So, just stay there. She doesn't know the laws because she was too busy chasing Hansel and Gretel.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Princess Di is here. We have people on the telephones. Princess, let you and I grab some calls. Jim is calling us from Boston. Jim up in Boston, how are you this morning? Good morning.
I'm very well, James, and hello, Princess Di.
Hello.
I'm very happy to hear from you again. James, you've been questioning a lot about coordination, and I'm here to explain it. Princess Di, have you ever heard the name Ernst Fraenkel?
Yes.
Who was Ernst Fraenkel? Could you let people know?
Well, you go ahead, make your point, because we don't have a lot of time to go through a long history. Just give us your point.
Ernst was a German who served in the First War, highly decorated, became an attorney, and in 1933, as a Jewish attorney in Germany, he was allowed to practice law in Germany because of Hindenburg's exception. He had the most profound view of the inner workings of the Nazi state, and it was called the dual state.
Okay, I need a point here, not a history lesson, as much as I appreciate it. This is radio. We got to get to your point. What is the point you want to make?
The symptoms of authoritarian societies. They have the dual state, and they also have what they call Gleichstellung. Gleichstellung is also the organizing principle for the civil society. When you use these two methods, then you can completely control your society for political purposes. This is how authoritarians work. And when you have these symptoms, you have an authoritarian political party, which can then lead us to examining the true high crimes of this party, which are the high crimes.
Okay, Jim, I have to ask, where is this going? What's the point?
I'm trying to lay an indictment to the entire Democratic Party so that we can eliminate them.
Thank you. That's the point. The Democrat Party has been acting as an authoritarian party using a political method that has been described here that Jim from Boston is trying to tell us about. I wish we had 45 minutes to lay it out, but we don't, which is why I have to have you get to your point. Diana, you want to make a quick comment on that, or let's move on to another call? Your choice.
I think that the Democrat Party is ending itself. I mean, they're cheating for so many decades, and their manipulation has given them a presence in a government that does not reflect their actual strength in the country. And that is about to change. That has changed as of this week with court rulings. So what he described is being pushed back on.
Jim, I would love to talk with you at length about this if we could figure out a way to do it so you could run through the history, because I am a student of history, and I'd love to hear more on what you had to say. Thank you for the call. Al in New Hyde Park, you are next.
Hey, James, thank you very much for taking my call. I'm a big fan. 2 quick points. I'm a music guy like you. Just want to let you know I was one of New York City's first disco DJs back in 72 to about 82. But the reason I called is, why don't we just call our country the United States of Investigations? Since the Hillary Clinton email scandal all the way up through all this James Comey, John Brennan Clapper, my crystal ball tells me nothing will happen to these people other than maybe some legal fees. What are your thoughts? Oh, and happy birthday, Lou Graham, who's a good friend of mine.
Boom! You got a lot in there. Well, I'm going to turn that over to Princess Diana. What's going to happen with all these investigations, do you think?
Well, I think that there are going to be accountability finally, and I think that's the greatest temptation of the people on our side, because what your caller described is true. Up until now, nothing has ever happened. Nobody is held accountable. And so the temptation is, when you see someone misbehaving or being, a criminal, you just say, oh, nothing will happen to them, and these people never get caught. That has changed. And the Comey indictment is the first of an avalanche.
Wow. Well, I'm hoping that things will change with some, because I'm telling you, what he articulated, I think that's the way many people feel. Yep. We keep waiting and waiting and waiting. Yep. So, right on. Let's move over to San Diego, California. San Diego, Tim, you're up. How are you?
Hey there. Hello, you two. Nice to talk to you on a Saturday. Real quick here, I'm going to sort of change gears a little bit, but you mentioned Christopher Cross earlier, and he was everywhere. There was Christopher Cross ubiquity back then when that record came out. But there's a gentleman you may have heard of called Rick Beato, who's on YouTube, and he interviewed Christopher Cross. Yeah, you know.
Of course.
I know. James, I knew you would know, for God's sake. But anyway, he interviewed Christopher Cross. Do you know that guitar solo at the end of Ride Like the Wind is Christopher Cross? He's an unbelievable guitar player, that guy. That's one thing, the singing, the songwriting, all that stuff. But the hidden fact, if you will, is that he was an amazing guitarist and still is an amazing guitarist. I had no idea until about a year ago when he interviewed him. So,
you talk about somebody that's doing great work as an interview of music. This guy's in a class by himself.
He is. He's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. Tim, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Let's check in with Chris up in the Catskills in New York. We go from California to New York. Chris, you're up next. Got to make it quick, my friend, sadly. What is the point you'd like to make?
Good morning. I think it's going to be an interesting test of which political ideologies have the most traction nationwide, because with the gas prices being so high for so long, it would beg the question that the party leadership is going to change potentially in both houses, but we'll have to see how much of a hold the MAGA movement and the underpinnings of the ideologies that are associated with that are going to have an effect on the ballot box come in November, because unfortunately the Democratic Party has been associated with having a battle against the fossil fuel industry, negatively affecting gas prices. So that's something that could potentially mitigate any gains they could have from these ridiculously high gas prices and the way that this invasion against Iran is being handled. But hopefully we'll get some more reasonable Democratic candidates, and Sherrod Brown can win his Ohio Senate seat. And then maybe, I'm probably delusional, but maybe
I'm sorry, Chris. I'm sorry, Chris. The Sherrod Brown thing, man, that's wishful thinking, bro. We'll see. I mean, it could happen, but I don't think so. Now, I think the issue of gas prices is going to be critical. I saw some new polling on it. Republicans are blaming Trump. Even some Republicans are. But I don't think looking at gas prices today and looking at gas prices in November is quite the accurate barometer. Princess Diana, let me turn over Chris's analysis to you and for your analysis.
Well, I agree. I think that Trump is correct in that the prices will drop like a rock as soon as this situation is resolved. And if you notice, James, let me tell you the best indication that things are going amazingly for Trump's position in Iran is that there is hardly any coverage of that whole conflict. if you've noticed. The mainstream has just not been covering Iran. And so that means that the blockade is working, the squeeze play is working, and so this regime in Iran is not long for this world. And that is the key when the prices will come down. And I think everyone understands it's going to be well before the elections.
Boom. We have time for one more if we can do it quick, and that would be Princess Diana. Adam is calling in.
Oh,
Good
yay.
morning, Adam.
Good morning, sir. How you doing today?
I'm fine, and Princess is here as well.
Good morning, Princess
So glad
Diana.
to
How
hear
you
your
doing?
voice, Adam. How are you feeling? How are you?
Not too good, but I'm okay. I'm just making it through.
Okay. Well, you're always in our prayers. You know that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Adam?
Mr. Golden, what's going on, sir?
Nothing much. You know, I played the story that you sent me this week. I played excerpts from that news story. And thank you for sending it. We talked about that. And then there's another horrible story in Houston that we have not had any comment on. I played the two of those. So I just wanted you to know that the stories that you send that you think are important will be reviewed, and in many cases, can't promise everyone, but we sure did give it some light this morning. So thank you for making all of us aware of that story, Adam.
I appreciate that, sir. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Adam. We hope you feel better, my friend. Thank you so much for calling in. And again, thank you for sending that story. Princess, I'm looking at the clock. Give me a quick time frame, Matt. How much time do we have? I wanted to play one soundbite. We're going to take a break. Princess, hold on. If we have time to play one soundbite, we'll play it when we get back. Princess Diana's here. Snerdley.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Princess Diana is here as our show winds down. Princess, I got one quick one I want to play for you out of Ohio. You voters in Ohio, listen to this. This was at a hearing. There's a black representative. His name is Josh Williams. Listen to the way he was received when he made this comment, cut 17. And this is Josh Williams.
But when I'm looking for a witness that would honestly have a discussion about protecting children, Planned Parenthood is not the witness that I would look to. Since more black babies have died in the womb because of your organization. So, to be fair,
I thought we were being civil and respectful today, Chair Thomas.
I am being,
keep your interesting.
I am being civil.
Chair, point of order. Point of order on the questioning here. I mean, come on. Denigrating the entire organization? Please.
Go ahead. Please proceed. Okay, thank you. So,
listen to the way they responded for him for just telling the truth. Oh, come on. I thought we were being civil here, Princess Diana. Your final comments of the day.
They tried to shame him and embarrass him, and he was absolutely civil and truthful, which they cannot stand.
Absolutely. And you know, I played a clip at the end of, with Brian Gill this week that I'm going to find a way to play again because it's a horrific quote, but it's necessary. Princess, most monumental week in in our lifetime for the Democrats. And thank you for that superb analysis as always.
Thank you, Sir James, the Duke of Democracy, as always.
Thanks for listening to The James Golden Show. You can hear The James Golden Show Saturday mornings at 7. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Oh, it's out of here. Home run Ferry Hawks. Get ready,
Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball. Come out to the ballpark as the Ferry Hawks welcome in the Charleston Dirty Birds May 5th through the 10th. Grab the kids and come on out. We kick it off on Tuesday, May 5th with Cinco de Baseball with $5 tickets and $5 food and beverage specials. And we end the week as we celebrate all moms on Mother's Day. Moms get in free. Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.